Welcome to another arts exploration. In today's exploration, Step into the Picture, we're going to explore imagined locations and actions through drama and visual art, and perhaps also writing. Start by closing your eyes and either focusing on your sense of smell or your sense of sound. You could use touch or taste, but it might make things a little more difficult. And we've chosen not to use our sense of vision because we're always looking at things. Our eyes are our most used sense. Focus in on the sense of your choice. I'll take smell as the example. So, what do you smell? For this exploration, you're going to want to have a set of colored pencils or pens on hand. If you don't, that's fine. Monocolor, monochrome is just fine. But what you're going to do now, after focusing on your sense of smell for a couple of minutes, is open your eyes, look directly at your paper and your colored pens or pencils, and start drawing. You're going to focus entirely on your sense of smell rather than what you're drawing. Don't worry about what you're drawing, and don't try to draw anything in particular. Just focus on your sense of smell, or whatever other sense you chose, and draw, or doodle if you prefer. It can look as figurative as anything and doesn't have to look like a literal representation of anything in particular. In fact, it probably won't, because you're not focusing on what you're drawing, you're specifically focusing on your sense of smell, rather than what you're drawing. When you feel like you've completed your drawing, whenever it feels right to you, look down at your drawing. What does it look like to you? Does it look like a tree full of birds, or a typewriter, or a set of lampshades? What does it look like? The first thing that comes to mind. Now, a second question about it. If you were to say that your drawing was a location, what would that location be? The first thing that comes to mind, once again, can be absolutely anything. You now have an object or collection of objects that your drawing looks like, and you also have a location that it looks like. Place your drawing on the floor in front of you. Make sure there's enough room to stand in front of it, and then to step onto it. Look at the drawing and imagine it as that location that you said it looked like. Imagine being in that location. What would it be like? What would it feel like? What would be around you? Now take a big step forward and step onto the piece of paper, as though you're crossing a border into that new location. Really allow yourself to feel being in your current location, and then as you step onto the paper, being transported into that imagined location. Now step back off the paper and allow yourself to come back to your present location. Do this many times, maybe at least 4, and allow yourself to really get accustomed to stepping into the picture and stepping out of the picture. Yes, we're literally stepping onto the picture and off of the picture, but really allow yourself to feel your location changing as you step onto the picture and into it, and then back to your present. You can do these transitions as quickly or as slowly as you'd like, and in any way that you want. Maybe you want to take a couple steps forward, not just one step forward into the picture. Maybe you want to go around in a circle first. You can really play around with it and play around with your way of stepping into the picture. Now try taking the object, or maybe it was a person, that you said your picture first looked like, taking that with you into the location, and see how it feels to go back and forth into and out of your imagined location with that object or person. Now I have another question for you. What will you do in that location? And if you're taking that object or that person with you, what will you do with that object or person in that location? What will be your next move? You can either choose to imagine this and dramatize it in your mind while you step into the picture, or you can take a step back, literally and figuratively, and either draw yourself into the picture, doing whatever it is. And don't worry about being too literal about it. Just draw yourself in, whether that's a stick figure or a really accurate representation, or whatever it is you want it to be. And just draw yourself into the picture. Or, on the other hand, you could choose to write down on the other side of the paper what it is you're about to do in that location. So you have three choices here. You can either dramatize it, or you can draw it, or you can write it. But I do want to caution that if you do decide to write it, don't censor or judge yourself too much. Just allow yourself to write exactly the first thing that comes to mind that you could be doing there. It doesn't have to make too much sense. And remember, whatever you've chosen, whether it's dramatizing or visual art or writing about it, what you're imagining you're going to do next in that location isn't too boring, and it isn't too crazy. It's just perfect because that's what you've chosen to imagine, and that's what your imagination has given to you. Take as much time or as little time as you need to be in your imagined location, doing your imagined actions, and then just let yourself be. You can think about your implications for your life that these actions and location might have, but you don't need to. You have now completed this exploration. You don't have to do or think anything else. The very fact that you've completed this exploration is enough. Thank you for joining me.